We will create first the attribute pick list values for operating system and cloud hosting services, and then create the attribute for operating system and link it to the attribute category, and finally create the product classification. So this way that we'll take the bottom to top approach, that we define the pick list values or the characteristics that define the product for what it is, and then have a product classification that will group the attribute categories. In the end, we will create the product and link the product to the product classification. And we will use a deep clone feature within revenue management to clone another product and use the same product classification. Product catalog management, where the products are configured. As a first step, we'll go to pick lists. So this is where the attribute pick lists are created. Click new, type in operating system pick list, operating system pick list. For now, we'll keep the pick list as active and scroll down and click save. You can also give a meaningful description of what this pick list means, and if it's specific to a category, you can also put it as a definition here. For now, we'll skip this and move to the next step. Oh, sorry, the pick list type. So as you can see that I created this pick list, but I couldn't change the data type. When a pick list is active, you cannot change the data type. So only other way is that I have to delete this and create a new one. Attribute pick list, new. Operating system pick list, operating system draft, and I will select text as a type and click save. And you can see that now, because it's in draft status, I could change the data type here. So as in the practice that you just want to do is that create it as draft, add pick list values, and then come back and activate it. So this is like the best practice or best way that you can do this. And then we'll go back to related. The attribute pick list values, we'll add pick list values for the operating system. The first pick list value that we will be creating is Mac OS. So the product that we will be creating is Cloud VPN software, and that software is supported in both Mac OS, Windows operating system, as well as on the mobile devices using Android OS. So we will create those pick list values for the operating system pick list and then use them in the product configuration. Status can be active. Display value is what will be displayed in the product configurator, and the sequences in which order the pick list value should show up in the dropdown. You can clone and do this, or then go back to the operating system and then on the related list, click new. These are the two ways that you can create attribute pick list values. We'll just clone for now. And instead of saying Mac OS, it will say, we'll call it Windows OS. Windows OS. Windows operating system, and save. We'll clone this one again, and we will call it Android operating system. Sequence doesn't have to be in a sequential order like 1, 2, 3. It can be 10, 20, 30, so that you can add more values in between them when there is a business need to add another operating system into the product configuration. So you can just say 30 and then between 2 and 30, there can be another pick list value that can be added later. For the operating system, we added 3 pick list options during product configuration: Mac OS, Windows operating system, and Android operating system. And activate the operating system pick list. So if you go to the operating system pick list, we see that the status is draft. We can come back here, status, back to active. And similarly, we'll go to attribute pick list and create another attribute pick list for cloud hosting services. And we'll call this attribute pick list as cloud hosting services pick list. Text again. I will add a text description that this pick list value is used to define cloud hosting service values for security softwares. On the related tab, we'll add new pick list values here. AWS as a cloud hosting provider. So let's put this to active. What you can do is that we can set a default value, which means that this particular value will be defaulted during product configuration. And then you can choose during product config if you want to select something else. So you can keep a value as default value, display value, and actual value. The sequence is 1, save, and we'll clone this to create additional pick list values for the cloud hosting services. We'll add Google Cloud as a hosting service. And finally,
I think, Mani, you have defaulted this as well, right?
that's the thing, that if you click default many times, the one that you choose as default, the last or the later,
Okay,
will be
that
taken as
will
a
be
default value. Yeah,
okay. And existing will be like undefaulted
yeah,
automatic.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
The
thank you.
old versions will be undefaulted. Yes. So Assure is the next value. It's a cloud hosting service provider, and I can give you like 40 as a sequence, and doesn't matter. And if we go back to the cloud hosting services, as we can see that Google Cloud is defaulted. And if I want to make sure that, okay, I want to keep Azure as the default version, I can go back and say Azure is the default version. And then if I click edit, the trigger running in the background that it takes few seconds to update the value digit, and I'm going to cancel this. As you can see that the other value is the undefaulted the background. So only one value can be default in the attribute pick list values by definition. Okay, so what we did now was we created 2 pick list options, one for cloud hosting services and another for operating system as a value. So Mac OS, Windows OS, and Android operating system, and cloud hosting services, AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure. These are pick list values, but these are not the attributes themselves. So to assign this pick list, or to add this pick list values to an attribute, we have to define those attributes. The next step would be to create those attributes. And to create those attributes, we'll move on to attribute definitions, and that would be the next step. Okay, attribute definitions. So we just created attribute pick list values for operating system. We'll call the operating system attribute as operating system itself and link the operating system pick list to the operating system attribute. So operating system attribute as a pick list requires a pick list definition of operating system pick list so that it can be uh, configured during configuration. So this is how the data model is in Salesforce, that you can create an attribute, and if you want to add pick list values, you have to create pick list values and then link it here. And data type is pick list because we are linking a pick list. But if you're not using a pick list, then you can choose something else. We will also add a checkbox later during this session. So you'll know that, okay, pick list is not needed for all the data types here. And default value, I'm going to leave it blank and say this as a required option during configuration and keep it active. And in the description, I'm going to put, on the help text, I'm going to say operating system used by client system or customer. So what this help text tells is that when you're doing product configuration, the sales rep can see this help text in the info icon. So it gives them a bit of clarity that what this pick list means and what values to select during quotation. So I'll just keep this here and we can see this during configuration as well. I'll label this operating system. An API name cannot have blanks by default in Salesforce. So we'll just remove the blanks, save. And if I go to the related list, I can assign this to attribute category. We'll come to that later. As of now, we can see that this operating system pick list is active and it includes pick list values of Mac operating system, Windows operating system, and Android operating system. So similar way, we'll create an attribute definition for cloud hosting services as well. So we'll go back to attribute definition, click new and create a new attribute definition. Cloud hosting services is the pick list, and the pick list value that it will be using is cloud hosting services pick list. And the API name would be cloud hosting services without space. Label would be cloud hosting services. Default value will populate automatically based on the pick list. Once I save this record, I don't need a unit of measure. And this is again a pick list. And if I scroll down, the default help text is the hosting service the customer prefers for the VPN. And keep this as active. Configuration will keep this also as required. You'll keep the next attribute definition as optional. And for now, cloud hosting services as the code as well, and save this.
Mani, I have
Yeah,
one question. So,
yes,
like,
please.
we are marking this as well required.
Yes.
So here, like, required means, can you elaborate, like, what it
So
will be significance of the required thing?
when you're doing a product configuration, you can pick and choose between cloud hosting services. It's AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. It can also be left blank without any selection during
Okay, like,
configuration.
on the configuration page, like, if we didn't mark it as required, then it can be left behind blank.
Yes, during product configuration. So a product can have without this configuration, then it cannot be a required value.
Okay. In case of required, it should know, it should be, there should be some value and it is should
Yeah,
be added.
yeah, it should be added, yes. And it doesn't say that this particular value is required. It just says that this particular configuration is required for the product configuration.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
And to do that sort of like this particular value is required for like combination of operating system and cloud hosting services. We have product constraint rules or product configuration rules, which we'll cover in later sessions. Following once we are done with the catalog management, we'll go to that topic. So we had two attribute definitions, one for operating system, other for cloud hosting services. What if I want to add a checkbox during configuration that is not a required value during configuration, but I just want to say that, okay, so this is something we have optionally available, the customer can choose, and that can be configured as well. So we will create a new attribute definition, which is a checkbox, and we'll call it online technical support. So this is available for the customer for this particular product as an optional configuration. So I'm not going to add pick list values here because the data type is going to be a checkbox or Boolean. And here you can see that should I leave it checked or unchecked? Should the default value be left unchecked or checked? I'm going to leave this unchecked because it's not a required value. And we're going to test this during configuration that what happens. And later we can come back and make this as required and see that how it behaves during configuration as well. So and keep this active. And this is optional technical support for cloud or for security softwares. And the code can also be something meaningful. Okay, so what we did, we created three attribute definitions, two pick list and one checkbox. And the pick list values, I didn't add a code here. Let me fix this one and add a code. So as you can see that the operating system didn't have a default value added. The operating system did not have a default value added. So we'll also see that how that pick list behaves during configuration. That, okay, there is no default value for the operating system and how does it show up during configuration. So this is how the attribute definitions look. There can be attribute categories that group attribute definitions, or they can be left uncategorized as well. So the online technical support, we are going to leave it without a category, whereas the operating system will get its own category called system configurations, and cloud hosting services will get its own configuration called or attribute category called cloud configurations. So this is how the attributes are grouped. Attribute category can have multiple attribute definitions. And today we'll add just one attribute definition to each attribute categories, but in practice there can be many. And what we're going to do now is go to attribute categories and create new attribute category and call this attribute category as system configurations. No description, but save this to related and assign attributes. And I can say that because this is system configuration, I'm going to select operating system here. And as you can see, I just typed in and chose that, and the checkbox got ticked automatically. And I'm going to assign this to this particular category. So what if I want to add an existing attribute already? for example, definition that can be added here. I can select graphics as an option, for example, for this attribute category, but that's just optional. So just during configuration, we can see how it looks like. We didn't create this attribute definition. We only created an operating system pick list. This was something that existed within this trailer that I just added it here. And we'll proceed to create another attribute configuration, which is called cloud configurations. Cloud configurations. To save this. And I'll go to the related and add the cloud hosting services here directly, or then I can search for it here, cloud hosting services, and then select, will check automatically, and then I can assign this. So now we have created two attribute categories. One attribute category is for system configuration, and other attribute category is for cloud configuration. And the cloud configuration has cloud hosting services, whereas system configuration has operating system and graphics. The purpose of product classification is that it enables reuse of set of configurations to multiple products just by linking it to the product. So to have that option, I'm going to create a new product classification by going to product classifications and then create new. The product classification that we will create would be security software, and we will keep it active. And this security software is a product classification which can be assigned attributes using attribute categories or just without categories. We will look at both these options. First, we will assign the attributes by category or the attribute categories that we just created. We created two different attribute categories. So if I look at this document, attribute category, system configuration and cloud configurations. And we want to add both these categories to this product classification called security software. What we'll do is that cloud configurations selected, and then system configurations assigned. So we added two classifications or two categories of attributes, and it was easier for me to add this group of attributes to this classification just by using that category. I didn't have to select individual attributes. The operating system and graphics got added because I chose the system configurations category here, which makes the configuration much more easier. And I can also add attributes without category as individual attributes by choosing the assign individual attributes option. And I can go to uncategorized and select for online technical support, which is a checkbox that we created without an attribute category, and we'll add it here. And as you can see that the online technical support doesn't have an attribute category, but it can also be added to a product configuration. So attribute category is just an organization or organizing way of grouping attributes. So it's easier to add them to a product classification or product configuration. To recap, we first created attribute pick list values for operating system, and then we create an attribute definition for our operating system. And we added that to an attribute category called system configurations. And we also created cloud configurations as an attribute category and added them both to a product classification called security software. And if I drill down from here, product classification has system configuration, cloud configuration attributes, and system configuration attribute category as multiple attributes. And if I go to operating system pick list, One important thing to note is that when we delete a value here, it's just the assignment that we are deleting. We're not deleting the actual attribute. So the operating system attribute itself will not be deleted, but instead the link between the operating system attribute and the product classification will be deleted from here. Go ahead and create a product and then link this product classification to the product so that we'll be able to configure this product during quotation. We'll go to product, create a new product. We'll create a commercial product for Cloud VPN, and Cloud VPN again. And we will say this product is not active yet. We'll say that configuration during sales is allowed. The last time we did product configuration, product creation for the standalone static product, we didn't say not allowed. If we don't want the configuration to be allowed during sales, we say not allowed, which means that it is a static product. And if we want the configuration during sales allowed, we'll say allowed using the product classification security software. And when this product is available for sale, so this is a product that's launching in the future, we'll select some date in the future, say for example 31st March, these things before the product is getting launched. But for the sake of testing, we'll just put it in the past. And everything else is okay. We'll say that the product is assetizable option, and we will save. This product is inactive yet. We'll go to the related list and see that inherited attributes has been populated automatically. So these attributes come through the product classification that we just linked on the product called security softwares. And if I go back to the product and edit and remove this product classification and save and go back to the attributes, the inherited attributes, it's blank. Or if I go to the related list, the inherited attribute, it's blank. So the inherited attributes is inherited through the product classification. And that's how that you can reuse this product classification configuration as you go and configure new products, launch new products, makes it easier for the product to be launched. I'll make this product active now and save. And once I activated it, I'll have to check once everything looks fine. Yes, everything looks fine. Okay, this product won't be available to sell unless there is pricing behind it, there is a selling model behind it. So we just have to add that option here. And to display the product in the product catalog, visually, we need to add it or assign it to a category. Because in your trailer dog, productivity software will be there, you can choose the productivity software and save. So we now assign categories, which is how the product is displayed within the product catalog. We want to add a product selling model, how this product will be sold. Since this is a software product, we are looking at subscriptions, and subscriptions are not sold as one-time products, but rather as term-based or evergreen subscriptions. As a first thing we will do is that we'll use a term-based monthly subscription for this product and leave the proration policy blank because the default proration policy will apply for the subscription. And we will just say save. So as you can see, this default is term-based monthly. I'll go back to the product selling model option and add another product selling model option and call it term-based yearly. And that this term-based yearly is not default, and I will save this as it is. And the same default proration policies apply. And go back to Cloud VPN. The final thing would be to add the price book entries for this product. So we add two selling models. So what we will be able to do is add two price book entries for each selling models. I will not be able to edit or add multiple price book entry under a price book for a selling model. So I'll show that as well. So let's say that I'm going to add for monthly selling model, term-based monthly. The price is 50. And I'm going to save this. And I'll go back. term-based monthly, monthly 50. They'll try to add the same term-based monthly. Again, 50, because I didn't know, I forgot that if I added this configuration or not. Without creating a duplicate option, Salesforce will complain to you that the price definition already exists in this price book for the selling model. So what I'll do is that because term-based monthly is already configured, for the annual, 3,500, if the customer buys, if customer commits to a month annual subscription, something like this, I'm going to give you term-based yearly. And so I'll just put it 550. That would be reasonable. So we did the configuration. We added the product selling model for term-based and monthly and yearly. We'll go back to product, and the product is active. The last thing to do is to refresh the decision tables. I'll go back to the decision tables, or from here it's called lookup tables. And in the lookup tables, we'll search for price book entries version 2. There are two price book entries here. The price book version 2 is the one that is used to calculate the pricing. We will use this one and click refresh. This means that the product is available during quotation. Revenue Cloud, Revenue Lifecycle Management. And on the code, I've just created this code. I'm going to add a code line here. I'm going to add browse catalog in productivity software. And there is this icon here. When I click, I can see the two different selling models available. One is term-based monthly and term-based annual. I can see the pricing as well here, US dollars 550. The pricing currency is based on the pricing currency on the account, which is inherited at the code. And then based on that, the product is displayed here, pricing, all that. But for now, we'll configure the product. We can configure it from here, choose pricing here and then configure, or from here. This product has a configure icon enabled. And this is because that we said configuration is allowed. And this is a standalone configurable product. I'm going to configure this product. You can see a warning. One or more products of the VCP are missing. Specify the attributes and try again, operating system. So what this means is that the operating system is a required information, but it's missing. So I can see a warning here that it's missing, and I have to add this information. There is only default value. I have to select an operating system. I'm going to select Windows operating system, and then this warning would disappear. I choose Intel for Windows, and cloud configuration is already defaulted to AWS. I can choose to select another option, for example, Google Cloud, for example, and then proceed with the configuration. And for others, the online technical support is not a required field. As you can see, cloud hosting services had a red icon, but online technical support doesn't have this red indicator here. It's because that this is not a required option that we set during configuration. And as you can see that the info icon adds meaningful text during quotation for the sales rep to understand the context during configuration. It gives them a clarity what to choose during configuration. So it's always better to have some sort of help text. It's beneficial. And then save and exit. Once you save and exit, the record is saved to the database.